The man who remembered tomorrow. I first dreamed about her before I ever met her. Not in a poetic, déjà vu kind of way, but a literal dream, vivid and unmistakable. She stood in the center of an empty room, lit by flickering fluorescent lights, barefoot on cold concrete. Her dress was soaked. Her lips moved but made no sound. And when she looked at me, I heard a voice not hers whisper, "You've been here before. You just don't remember yet." I woke in a sweat. 2:48 a.m. That time would matter later. At the time, it was just a number. In real life, I was no one. I lived alone in a gray box of an apartment on the edge of the city. I worked data entry for a company that didn't care if I showed up, so long as I clocked in. My life was a routine of beige. Until Tuesday. Tuesday was when I saw her, the woman from the dream. She sat across from me on the 6:15 train, wearing the same soaked dress, barefoot, same face, same eyes. And when I stared too long, she smiled as if she'd been waiting for me to notice. The train jolted, lights flickered, and in the moment they went out, her mouth moved just like in the dream. No sound, just a whisper I couldn't hear. When the lights returned, she was gone, vanished. No doors had opened. No one around me reacted. I didn't go to work that day. I rode the train back and forth, trying to see her again. Over the next few days, the world began to bend. The subway clocks started skipping seconds. My phone would display the wrong date for brief moments, then revert. I'd walk into a room and find my coffee already made. Twice, I heard myself humming a song before I remembered learning it. And always, the dreams returned. More vivid, louder, her voice becoming clearer. Each time, the phrase changed slightly. "You've been here before. You just don't remember yet. You're not going forward." This loop is dying. I stopped leaving the apartment. I started recording everything. Time-stamped photos, voice memos, GPS data. I kept a physical journal, too. Handwriting seemed harder to fake. And then came the first reset. I went to bed on a Thursday night with my windows open. It was raining. I remember because the drops made patterns on the glass like Morse code. I recorded it. The timestamp said 11:58 p.m., June 12th. I woke up and it was Tuesday, June 10th. Same morning sunlight, same birds, same news. My recording of the rain was gone. My journal stopped at June 9th. Only one thing remained, a handwritten note I'd never written. "You lost 3 days. Stop trying to fix it. You can't hold time in your fist." I became obsessed. The missing days haunted me, not just because they were gone, but because something in me remembered them. Not clearly, just echoes. A phrase here, a smell there, like fog over memories. I searched everything. Backup drives, CCTV from outside the apartment, even transaction histories. Nothing. Until I noticed the burn mark on my left palm. Circular, small, like the end of a matchstick pressed into skin. I hadn't burned myself, not recently, but the pain was real, and it wasn't there the day before the reset. I found something else, too. Hidden in my closet behind old boxes, something I would never have stored there, a Polaroid photo. Yellowed edges, taken in a place I didn't recognize, a concrete room, dim lights, walls dripping with condensation. In the center stood me, barefoot, soaked, staring blankly ahead. And behind me, barely in frame, was her, the woman from the dream. Her hand on my shoulder, on the back, in my handwriting. "You said this place echoes what we forget." The subway changed. Not permanently, just sometimes. On certain nights, on the 6:15 train, I'd fall asleep or blink too long and find the car empty, humming like a dying engine. The windows showed nothing but black. No tunnels, no stations. Then once, I stepped off. Not at my usual stop. Not anywhere on the map. The station was ancient, rusted, moss growing between tiles. No lights except a red emergency glow. I followed a hallway that twisted downward. Everything felt off balance, like the air was leaning. At the end of the hall was a thick steel door. On it, etched in faded letters, Vault 0, a voice behind me spoke. "You're early this time." I turned. No one. I ran. All the way back up. No sign of trains, clocks, or time. It was no longer just dreams. She began to visit. Not physically, more like bleed-throughs. TV static would morph into her image. My reflection would shift mid-glance. Sometimes, in recordings I made of myself, I'd hear her whisper things in frames where she didn't exist. Eventually, she spoke directly. "I am the memory that survives deletion." I called her the Archivist. She explained that the world had splintered, not destroyed, not dead, but looping. "Time folds around trauma," she said. "Reality tries to erase the unbearable by making us forget. The vault holds what time cannot digest. You're one of the few who slipped through intact. That burn on your hand. You've been here before. Many times." She told me each time I got closer, time would reset me. But each time, I kept more. A scar, a photo, a word. "But why me?" She only said, "Because you remember tomorrow." My notes were now filled with phrases I didn't remember writing. "Vault is the anchor." She lied once. 3:19 a.m. Watch the mirror. If you see yourself, run. One night, I did see myself. I woke at 3:19 a.m., and my reflection was already looking back. It didn't move as I did. It didn't blink. And then it whispered, "You're not supposed to be awake." That version of me smiled, a twitch, unnatural. Then the mirror cracked from the inside. I screamed, stumbled backward, but when I turned on the lights, the mirror was intact, silent, whole. Later, in one of my recordings, I found a single frame of the vault door in the background of my living room. I hadn't left my apartment in 3 days. It wasn't just me. On an obscure forum for lucid dreamers, I found others talking about the Wet Woman, the Hall of Echoes, and Vault 0. I messaged a user named subroutine_7. He replied instantly, "You're late. The Archivist is dying." He told me the loops were collapsing. That memory decay was getting worse, and the vault was overflowing. Reality couldn't reset much longer. We're approaching the end echo. After that, the loops can't restart. He sent coordinates. A real-world place. An abandoned Cold War facility outside the city. When I got there, I recognized it immediately. From the photo, from my dreams. There was a tunnel, concrete, dripping. A circular door, burned onto the metal, the symbol from my palm. I entered. Inside the vault, the walls pulsed with old signals. Screens flickered with moments I'd lived and others I hadn't yet. On one screen, I watched myself die in a room filled with static. On another, I saw myself guiding someone else, someone I didn't know yet, through the same halls. The Archivist stood in the center. She was fading, glitching, dissolving in waves of distortion. "You were never supposed to wake up," she said. "You're a backup memory, a redundancy, but you kept evolving." She placed a hand on my shoulder, the same way from the photo. My skin burned again. "Now you must carry the echoes." The walls began to crumble. Lights strobed. Time unraveled. I don't know if I escaped. Sometimes I wake up in strange apartments, keys in my pocket I don't recognize. I find audio recordings I didn't make. Mirrors reflect places I haven't been. But I remember her. I remember the vault. I remember tomorrow. You reading this, you feel the fractures too, don't you? Maybe this story isn't fiction. Maybe this is the echo I was meant to leave for you.